Mangwana ni Mwalelepo Vukenja ni Klas Vanave Africa. Welcome to Africa Good Morning, the news and current affairs show bringing you everything you need to know happening on the African continent and beyond. You are joined by the A-team, Ashwin Berry and MyNACars. How are you, Aina?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
Oh, fantastic. How's the weekend?
The weekend was so good.
Right.
So bomb. Yeah. Everything perfect.
All right.
All right, here are the top stories on Africa Good Morning. Africa is warned against ditch the dollar calls. Eswatini MPs who challenge King's rule convicted, and police make a breakthrough in AKA murder case report. We'll be right back with more after the break. Remember, Ari Hoha joins us as well as Talent Kore.
Newsprint Namibia is a web offset printing operation that specializes in the printing of newspapers and commercial inserts. We are the leaders in our industry, with the highest quality print work and the shortest turnaround time from computer to print and delivery anywhere in the country daily.
Only a breakthrough, which is not actually a breakthrough.
Newsprint was established mainly as a newspaper print company, but had to diversify its business to do commercial printing as required in the market. We print commercial inserts previously printed in South Africa in the shortest possible time. We, as an organization, also started printing workbooks for our education system and will also print textbooks for the Namibian market. For more information, please contact print@newsprint.com.
Let's get into our top stories. Africa warned against ditch the dollar calls. African countries have been cautioned about a suggestion by President William Ruto of Kenya urging them to ditch the US dollar. Analysts say that although the idea was good, it was hardly practicable given the current level of economic development on the continent. It is a good idea. The concept is good, but before we jump on that train, we have to develop our economy, said a business consultant. He said the suggestions by the Kenyan leader came at a time when African countries relied heavily on transacting business in the US currency. Before abandoning the US dollar, we have to look at the fundamentals of our economy. Why are we heavily reliant on the dollar? Asked Japhet Kashamba. Early this week, President Ruto asked the African leaders to take the first step towards ditching the globally bullish US dollar. This, he said, can be done by signing up to a Pan-African payment system to facilitate trade within the continent, technically ditching the dollar.
All right, now a court in Eswatini has found 2 lawmakers guilty of murder and terrorism for their role in a wave of protests that hits the country in 2021. Duduzi Basede Mabuza and Tandeli Dube face up to 20 years in jail. The 2 were detained after taking part in pro-democracy protests in what is Africa's last absolute monarchy. They pleaded not guilty to inciting unrest. Amnesty International said the convictions were evidence of the country's continuing crackdown on dissent. The demonstrations were violently crushed by the security forces, leaving dozens of people dead. Eswatini has been ruled by King Mswati III since 1986, and political parties are banned from taking part in elections. Protesters, angered by economic decline, have become increasingly vocal in demanding political reform.
In our next story, police make a breakthrough in AKA murder case, and this is according to reports. Police are looking into suspects that are part of a powerful and feared family in KZN with links to the taxi industry and construction mafia. Police have reportedly made important breakthroughs in the investigation into the murder of Keenan Forbes, also known as AKA. In February, AKA was shot outside the Wish on Florida restaurant in Durban. Tabelo Tip Motswane, AKA's friend and a celebrity chef, was also shot and killed during the incident. City Press is reporting that police are investigating AKA's close associates. They are also looking into a member of a family involved in a taxi operation. These family members also have links to the construction mafia in KwaZulu-Natal. Sources in the security cluster told publication that AKA and Motswane were followed from the King Shaka International Airport to Wish on Florida restaurant. The police have already obtained the footage that reveals that there was surveillance by the alleged hitman, who later carried out the hit outside the Wish on Florida restaurant in Durban.
Now, the provision of healthcare was constrained countrywide yesterday by a strike called by sector professionals seeking improved working conditions and wages. This is in Mozambique. The strike, led by the Association of United Health Professionals of Mozambique, results from the alleged lack of consensus in the dialogue between nurses, laboratory technicians, drivers, assistants, and the government regarding salary adjustment, the availability of work material, and resolution of other grievances. At the Mavalane Healthcare Center in the country's capital, services were suspended and patients referred to Maputo General Hospital emergency room. At Mavalane General Hospital, the pharmacy was closed for the first part of the day, but opened later, staffed by doctors who, however, appeared to be having some difficulty identifying and locating the medicines required by patients.
In our next story, Tanzania declares the end of deadly Marburg virus outbreak, and this is according to the WHO. Tanzania on Friday declared the end of the deadly outbreak of Marburg virus more than 2 months after it was first confirmed. The World Health Organization said a total of 9 cases, 8 confirmed and 1 probable, and 6 deaths were recorded in the outbreak of the hemorrhagic fever in the northwestern region of Kagera, the WHO said in a statement. The UN Health Agency said it was the first such outbreak in Tanzania, an East African country with a population of almost 62 million. The last confirmed case tested negative on the 19th of April, setting off the 42-day mandatory countdown to declare the end of the outbreak. It ended. Neighboring Uganda, which witnessed its last outbreak in 2017 and shares a porous border with Tanzania, had gone on high alert after Marburg was confirmed by Tanzania's health ministry on the 21st of March.
That brings us to the end of our top stories on Africa Good Morning. Now, if I now worked for the Namibian government and I, as a Zimbabwean, was airing my grievances, I might be subject to punishment under the new proposed patriotic law. So we'll be talking to Talent Gore as we break down what the new proposed law means for Zimbabweans all over the world. Stay with us.
Welcome to MyNACars, your ultimate destination for everything automotive.
I am your host, Diana Master.
Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Discover the latest models, innovative technologies, and expert insights from our passionate hosts. Learn essential maintenance tips and get exclusive behind-the-scenes access to the automotive industry. Don't miss MyNACars on NTV every Thursday at 2100 hours. Tune in and ignite your passion for automobiles.
So as I briefly highlighted, Zimbabwe seems like it's going to be passing the patriotic bill, which still needs the president's signature on it. Here's Talent Gore. Good morning, Talent. Please tell us about what this bill means.
Africa, good morning. Good morning, Ashwin, and good morning, Ainam. Well, what the patriotic bill means is that if you are a Zimbabwean and you meet with a foreign government or a foreign diplomat, there is now a law which needs to be signed by the president, which states that you are not allowed to meet with a foreign government or a diplomat, and if you do so, you're going to be arrested. Well, apparently it passed through Parliament, and now it has to pass through Senate, and then the president, and then to the president. And when it reaches the president and he signs it, it then becomes law. What this then means is that the bill will now be sent to the parliament, which is also dominated by the ZANU-PF government, before the president signs it into law, which will criminalize any citizens who meet with a foreign diplomat or foreign country officials in terms of association, assembly, and speech. If signed into law, the National Prosecuting Authority will be authorized to initiate criminal prosecution against anyone who at its discretion is undermining the country or using false statements to paint a negative picture of the country to foreign governments. Anyone found in violation of the new law according to the bill will be arrested or imprisoned. So now it has to pass through Senate, and the Senate is also is dominated by ZANU-PF, so is the parliament. So opposition members of parliament were against the patriotic bill, but it was passed through because most of ZANU-PF members are the ones who are sitting in parliament. So they passed through. So they passed it through, and now it has to go to Senate. And after that, if it's signed, the president then has to sign it into law, and it becomes law. So now we are just waiting for it to pass through Senate and to the president.
All right, now, Talent, we also understand that Zimbabwe has banned the Johnson & Johnson baby powder over toxic ingredients. Tell us about this.
The Zimbabwean government has banned the importation, the distribution, and the sale of Johnson & Johnson's baby powder after it was discovered that it was causing a cancer. A letter from the Ministry of Health and Child Care Permanent Secretary Jasper Chimeza said that there was an ingredient in the powder called talc, which was causing cancer, and now everyone should not use that baby powder. It should not be sold in supermarkets, and there was a directive that it has to be removed from all supermarkets, and no one should be seen selling it.
And I do understand that Johnson & Johnson is going to be making payouts, and I certainly hope that any Zimbabweans that might have been affected by that will still be represented by the government. Right, Zimbabwe's general elections date are set. I understand we're looking at August.
Yes, President Emerson Mnangagwa has set the general elections date as 23 August 2020. 23 August 2023. He said that the announcement through a government gazette also set October 2 for a presidential runoff vote if it is required. Apart from the presidency, the election will also decide the composition of the 300-seat parliament and close the 2,000 local council positions. The election proclamation comes amid parliamentary debates over electoral reforms, and CCC, Citizens Coalition for Change opposition leader Nelson Chamisa is demanding access to and an audit of the voters' roll, as well as public media access. He's saying that if we're allowed to do this, then it will be a fair ground for everyone. He's saying that right now the elections, they are in favor of ZANU-PF, and they have to be reforms which are implemented. Apparently it is now late for new reforms to be introduced, and now we're just going to go to the general elections with the reforms that are already in place. So the opposition is saying that it is not a level field as the elections will be in favor of the ruling party, ZANU-PF, and President.
Very interesting indeed. And as you're going through this story, Talent, I can't help but think that some ZANU-PF radicals might conflate talking about ZANU-PF as talking about the government, particularly when the patriotic bill gets passed, and this could also make for particularly sticky consequences with regards to the election, and we trust you to be keeping an eye on that. Thank you very much, Talent, for bringing us the news stories from the House of Stone. All right. Seems Talent has taken her leave. Understandably so. She did what she needed to do. Now, here's someone else who's very committed to bring us the news as it is. As you know, lithium is a resource that is being widely explored, particularly in Southern Africa. Some people are saying it's part of the basis of BRICS. You know, this is part of what they're going to use to try and create a currency. Now, I'll get to Greg investigate what is happening at the lithium mine in Namibia, and he also speaks to Chief Zacharias Seibeb of the Daure Daman Traditional Authority. Have a look.
Operations at the Chinese lithium miner Zinfeng's open pit mine about 70 kilometers outside Uis continue, along the dirt road to Henties Bay and then deep into the open Namib desert plains of the Tsitseb Conservancy area. Mechanical diggers extract cavities from the earth. Dump trucks are loaded with soil to pile loads onto the ridges of the new ore dump mountains. Square blocks are prepared for bulk blasting at various locations. Crews operate mobile drilling rigs while bulldozers back and forth. A fleet of around 80 trucks stands ready in the parking lot, not far from the office facilities and the housing that has been built on the site. Meanwhile, Zinfeng is facing opposition from the Minister of Mines and Energy, Tom Elwindo, who wants to revoke their mining license 243 for their other lithium mine outside Omaruru. Judgment on an urgent application brought in this regard was postponed until 7 June by Judge Raymond Marsdorp on Friday. Zinfeng said in court documents that the Omaruru mine has been idle since December, and according to a guard at the gate, the entire workforce has since moved to Uis.
Yeah, I am Chief Zacharias Saibe, Chief of the Tangre-Taman Traditional Community. We have been taken away from our ancestral living way. And we had to know that mineral, we can live from mineral, we can get the riches from mineral. Those understanding has come from people who come from outside. Currently, the people are mostly involved in mineral works. Traditionally, minings that are opening and closing down, but we are still trying to maintain it on a small scale. And when a company is coming to the area, for me, I see it as an opportunity for my people. The opportunity to create jobs, maybe whereby some are going to get training, whereby we are going to get benefits to send our kids to school. You will find that this operation is not taking off and we are seeding again. Some of the companies, we are not having any discussion on how the community will benefit. Long term and short term, we are not having any discussions.
Now, sports is something that's very tangible. It's physical, you know, it happens in front of you. So you see everything happening there. So generally, irony is not something that happens a lot in sports. It doesn't hold much weight. But when you find a team supporting its city rival for an entire year, right? An entire year watching that city rival win the Premier League and then beat them at the FA Cup and potentially win the treble, which is their only prideful stake of claim in English football, the irony becomes palpable. Manchester United lost to Manchester City. I expected it. Ari, did you? Give us the sports.
Yes, couldn't say it better, for sure. I think that's exactly that, Ashwin. And the irony is up in 7 days' time. That will be the final of the Champions League. And the final of the Champions League will mean that Manchester City can win the treble. That's not happened. Well, it only happened once, like you explained. That was a proud record for Manchester United. That was 1999, 24 years ago. The treble is difficult to do. It's the English Premier League, the FA Cup, and the Champions League. But Manchester City, one game away when they play Inter Milan in Istanbul. That will be in the Saturday coming. So a big game coming up for them to try and win the treble. What happened in the game, just briefly, it was the first goal in 12 seconds. The game just started, and it was Ilkay Gundogan that scored the first goal. And there's some of the players with the trophy, and it was 2-1 the score in the end. Great win for Manchester City, dominating after they've won 5 of the last 6 English Premier Leagues as well. Let's go on to some motor racing, and there's another person or team that dominates, and that is Red Bull Honda. And that is because Max Verstappen won again, and that was in the Spanish Grand Prix. Quite convincingly started from pole. He dominated and won his 3rd consecutive race, and his 5th out of 7 for the season. He now leads convincingly. He's got 170 points, leads by 53 points over teammate Sergio Perez on 117 points. And then a bit lower down, it's Fernando Alonso on 99 and Lewis Hamilton on 87. But it was a good weekend for Mercedes-Benz. Lewis Hamilton came in 2nd, George Russell came in 3rd. So the changes that Mercedes-Benz made leading up to this Grand Prix worked, and they back again.
All right. I'm so sorry, Ari. I think we're going to have to leave it there. But thank you for bringing us the biggest sports stories from the weekend.
Big pleasure, and a great week for everyone. Bye-bye.
All right. Just a reminder to our audience, we had to shorten our conversation with Ari, which means he spoke for 3 minutes, and that was still at least 20 times longer than it took for Manchester City to score a goal against Manchester United. Highlights after the break.
Take a load off and tune into another episode of Brave Namibia as we take a look at both ordinary and extraordinary Namibians. Brave Namibia is broadcasted on NTV Saturdays at 6:30 p.m. and 1up2.com, as well as broadcasted on the following Facebook platforms on Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. Republican, Algemeine Zeitung, Namibian Sun, and all Namibia Media Holdings pages. For more information, contact the Brave team at brave@synergy.com.na. Brave Namibia, for the ordinary and extraordinary Namibians.
Let's get into the highlights from this morning's broadcast. Africa warned against ditch the dollar calls. Eswatini MPs who challenged King's rule convicted. Police make breakthroughs in AKA murder case report.
Those have been our stories. We thank you very much for watching our show this morning. We'll be back again tomorrow, same time, same place. From all of us in studio, it's all our love, all our light.
Manchester United fans, that was less than 12 seconds. See you tomorrow.